my brothers and sisters, Mavoika, Ituno Kina Atiano, no, that's in Taino, means welcome. Um, Sisters and brothers, I have you see this gentleman right here? Well, I have the pleasure, the honor of interviewing this, well, I'm not going to give it away what he plays, but he's a musician. He's a very, what do you call it? Very creative musician, and I worked with him and I enjoyed it. And it's none other than Tony Wynn. And here you go. What? Like I said, when I get my equipment, people, when I get my equipment, I'm gonna have that and the crowd, the cheering going on. So what's good, my brother? What's good? What's good? What's good?
Everything is good, man. Everything is good. How you been?
So for the sake of the broadcast,
yeah.
What's your name? What's your full name?
My name is Tony Wynn. That's basically my stage name. My real name is Anthony Wynn, but I use Tony because it fits.
Okay. And what instrument? Now, I always ask these questions, so I'm gonna go to a series of questions, and then from there on, we'll just flow with it. So, what instrument do you dedicate yourself to? What instrument you play?
I play all the saxophones and flute, alto, tenor, soprano, alto flute, and bass flute. So I play them all the woodwinds.
How about electronics? Any keyboards, anything like that?
I play a little bit of keyboards. I play, it's called electronic wind instrument. It's a synthesized saxophone. I play that, and
I've seen it. That's that EV?
Yes, EV.
Yeah, very nice sound.
Yeah, and I taught myself to play keyboards just for recording purposes, but I'll never play out live.
I know, I hear you. So Tony,
yes,
where did it all begin for you? First of all, where were you born?
Okay, I was originally born in Tampa, Florida. I have a Cuban background. Cubano, yeah.
Nice.
And my father enlisted in the Air Force when I was about maybe 3 or 4, and from there we moved to England. So we lived in England for many years.
So you were born in Tampa, Florida. Your father being in the military, and you went overseas.
Correct.
Around that age, around 4. So,
yeah.
So when did you pick up? Was a saxophone the first instrument that you picked up? Or?
Well, I didn't pick up sax till late in life, but living in England, my dad was a jazz enthusiast. He had all the jazz records. So when we lived in England, he would play jazz every weekend. And that's the only music I thought existed at the time, because I was only like 4 or 5, and I lived over there till I was about 8 or 9, and that's the only music I heard.
You talking about straight up jazz, like what artists, like Miles Davis,
Wes Montgomery, Thelonious Monk, Jimmy Smith on organ, Dave Brubeck, all of the guys that were hot back in the 40s and 50s. So I knew all these guys, Brooke Benton, all the vocalists, Sarah Vaughan. So that's the only music I was aware of.
At that age, at the early age, you got exposed to beautiful music. Yeah, classic.
So I was imprinted with jazz. So a funny thing, there was an album called The Cat by Jimmy Smith, the organist.
Yeah, nice.
And when my dad was playing that album, I'm looking at the album cover and trying to relate the picture with the music. So every time he would put on an album, he would lean the album cover up against the stereo, and I would look at the picture and try to relate visually with what I was hearing in my ear. So
Yeah.
I also developed the ability to express myself visually with art. So I also became an artist, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And
Nice, nice.
you know how back in those days they had those really avant-garde album
Yeah,
covers,
album covers. Yes, yes.
yeah, with
I'm a big art
Picasso's,
fan. Oh yes, oh yeah.
with Picasso's and stuff like that. So
So this was overseas
yes,
at an early
yes,
age, and you was
yes,
getting exposed to this music,
yes.
right? So
That's
in
all the
your
music I thought existed.
but in your family, is there a history of musicianship or just
Yes,
music lovers, right? Oh, they
yes,
are.
my father was a clarinet player when he was
Okay.
in high school, and he wanted he wanted to be a musician, but
Mm-hmm.
after my sister was born and my brother was born and I was
Mm-hmm.
born, he had to find a means of taking care of us. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why he went into the Air Force as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, he went into electronics, and that's how we ended up in England because he was electronic
Mm.
technician.
I met your father, yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, I met him. Very nice man, yeah,
And
yeah.
my great grandfather, his
Mm-hmm.
name was Farucho Figueredo. He was a
Mm-hmm.
Cuban musician. He wrote the Cuban national anthem,
Wow, that's
and
historical, man.
and
Wow.
he was also an artist, and he was
Uh-huh.
also a poet. So you know as well as I do, all that stuff mixes
How it
together.
relates. Yeah,
Yeah.
it all relates to each other, man. That's beautiful. I mean, I a lot of with this podcast, and I've spoken to a lot of musicians, and there's always that influence, coming from that background, the family, and you see it how it progressed, and that environment and the influence that birthed, musicianship. Like I say,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I find a lot of commonality.
And you knowing from playing in a couple of my bands, I've
Mm-hmm.
always had a Latin percussionist.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cause I like that clave, I like that sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And
that's the.
that's because my dad would also play music by Mongo Santa Maria, play people like
Nice.
that.
That's
So
right.
I also had that influence. So
Mm.
the musician that I am now is because of those influences.
Great, great. So, do you remember the first time you picked up a saxophone?
Yes.
At
It's
what
a,
age?
my younger brother played clarinet because my dad passed it on to him, but my younger
Mm-hmm.
brother wasn't interested in it at the
Mm-hmm.
time. So when I went to college, I took the clarinet with me to
Mm-hmm.
college,
Mm-hmm.
and he showed me how to do the fingering. But I
Mm-hmm.
started playing clarinet before I played saxophone. Then
Okay.
I heard, then I heard Deacon Blues by
Oh, Steely
with,
Dan.
Wayne Shorter.
Wayne Steely Dan. Yeah.
Really,
Deacon Blues.
Dad.
Woo.
Once I heard him play, I said,
Yeah.
I gotta chuck this clarinet, man. I gotta get me a saxophone.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Cause yeah, the sax on that record is incredible. Every time I heard that record, I would imagine that one guy in the corner with a sax just riffing away. You know what I'm saying? Just just gave me that vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
That picture in my head.
because when I went to college in that era with Earth, Wind, and Fire. So obviously I
Mm.
got into R&B music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I had a white roommate at the time, and he played Steely Dan, and I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, Steely Dan, man.
As soon as I heard Wayne
Asia.
Shorter, yeah, and
Shout out to Asia.
I said I know Wayne Shorter because my dad
Oh,
used to play his stuff,
nice. Right.
and
Mhm.
then I started tracking down Wayne Shorter.
Right. With the Miles Davis, he played the Miles Davis.
But then he started playing with Weather Report.
Weather Report. Woof. Man, crazy. Alfonso Johnson. Oh yeah. So you
Well,
really know your music there. You
well,
was
well, well,
exposed to some
well,
really
well,
good
well,
music.
well, once I got into Weather Report, that's when I went from traditional jazz,
Mm,
R&B, into this fusion jazz.
okay. Okay. So this is the early years. You in college, right?
I'm about
And you're getting exposed.
19 years old.
19 years old, and so you start playing the sax. Do you remember the
Yes.
first band? Were you in the college band, or do you remember first
No,
garage band that you played with?
I was basically doing this for my own pleasure. I had
Okay.
because I had no aspiration to be a musician. I was an artist,
Right.
right?
Okay.
And so here I am in college. I go to the pawn shop, I buy an alto, and I'm
Hmm.
playing around with this alto. Funny story. The custodian for my dorm was down in the basement playing the piano.
Hmm.
And I go down the piano, look at him. I says, "Hey, can I bring my saxophone?" He says, "Yeah." So I go up to my room, go back down to the basement where he's playing the piano. This
Hmm.
man taught me how to improvise. So at this point, I couldn't read music.
Okay. So he taught you the art of improvisation with
Yes,
the
yes,
piano.
yes, he did. He says, when a piano player is playing, he says, follow that left hand because that left
Mm.
hand will indicate when a bridge is coming, when a change is coming. So watch
Okay.
his left hand. Let him commit with that left hand. And from
Hmm.
there, then you'll know where to go.
Nice. 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 Yeah, especially if he's playing a lot of root notes
Yeah,
on that
yeah.
piano. Yeah. Yeah. The root. Yeah.
And
It gives you
so,
an idea where you're going.
yeah, and for a long time, I played with cats, and they didn't even know I couldn't read music.
Mm. So you didn't actually play with no band then? I mean, you were just like
I would,
in the
yeah.
concert win.
I bought and some of the musicians out here might know of this guy. I bought a Jamie Aebersold album. And what the
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Aebersold music does, it plays background music, gives
Mm.
you a format where you can solo on top.
Gotcha.
So I did that for years, learning all the standards, stolen moments,
Nice.
one note samba. So learning
Nice.
all of that stuff, but I still did not go out in public until later on in life.
Yeah.
And you know
So
how
let's
that
go.
happened? You know
Mhm.
how that happened?
Well, yeah, I was gonna get up to that. I'm gonna segue into that because I wanted to see. Okay, so you're on your training period. You know what I'm saying? And you're soaking everything up, and you playing, and you're getting more interested, more interested. The talent within is starting to come out because that happened.
Right.
So take us to the next step. I mean, when did you
So,
start?
so after I graduated from college,
Hmm.
and actually I was in Buffalo, Niagara Falls, where you were recently. I went
That's
to
right.
uh, I went to University of Buffalo. Excuse me, Buffalo
Okay.
State University.
Right.
So
Okay.
when I graduated, I came to Florida.
Okay. So that's why when I was in Niagara Falls, you told me, "Hey, I know that spot. I used to go and when I used to take pictures of that Niagara
Right.
Falls on the
Yes.
cliffs and
Yeah.
all those little spots that you can actually see the whole falls.
Yeah.
Everybody runs to the tourist place. The American
Right.
Falls. Then you got the
Right.
Horseshoe Falls. Everybody runs there. I was finding those little spots that you had to go through trees, and then you're
Yeah.
on a cliff and you see the whole falls.
Yeah.
And you were
That's
saying, "Yo,
true.
I know those spots. We used to fish there." I was like, "What?
Right. Because
Beautiful, beautiful."
see, I went to school in Niagara Falls, and then I went to college in Buffalo.
And Buffalo, but were you playing? Were you playing at all in Niagara Falls and Buffalo? Because I'll tell you something. No, man, let me tell you something. When I was up there and I met some musician that I'm pretty sure I want to interview, like the Thurman brothers and
Yeah.
Tim Andrews. For some reason, the musicianship in I don't know if it's in the water or what, but the musicianship is just out, extraordinary, man. These guys,
Well,
I mean, they play and
well,
then you people don't know
yeah.
much, but they're playing these little circuit and these clubs and stuff, and they jamming, and you're like, man, are you serious?
That's
This is
true.
some good stuff.
Well,
But yeah.
a friend of mine in high school,
Mm,
he went on to play with James Brown as his
mm,
lead guitarist.
mm.
His name was Ronald Laster, and also
Okay.
another girl I went to high school with, one of my classmates. She
Hmm.
sang background for James Brown, and she
Nice.
actually she married what's the guy's name? Oh, I'm gonna kill me. He has a TV news show, with the long hair brother with the long hair, the activist. She ended up marrying him,
Hmm.
but James Brown raised him. But back to we're getting off track. But
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
how I
Yeah.
first started
Bring
playing,
us back.
when I was in my apartment
Hmm.
at the time, because I had moved over to the coast because I was working at the Space Center. I
Hmm.
would practice in my one bedroom apartment. I would play along with albums, you know,
Okay.
Joe Sample, all this.
Yeah. So that was your
So
training right there. That yeah.
so I'm playing, right, and I'm walking around in my living room playing, and I
Hmm.
see this movement in front of my apartment.
Hmm.
So I stop playing and I open the door in front of my apartment. No joke, was 20 to 25 people sitting with blankets and wine in front of my apartment listening to me play music.
Wow. Give me 1 second. Oh, I'm sorry. I got an
No
eight
problem.
month year old baby over here, and I'm doing a podcast, and they want to know when's the last bottle for the baby. But babies come first.
Yeah, no
So that's it.
problem.
So when Tony,
Uh,
um, so so here you are, you're practicing and you're playing with these albums, whatever,
yeah.
and you're meeting people that are doing stuff in music. When was that first time that you said, I need to, because I know you're an artist and this and that, but the first time that you said, let me give it a shot at music, let me give it a shot at the saxophone, was
When
that
all
happen when you came to Florida?
when all those people were sitting in front of my apartment
Uh
with
huh.
bottles of wine, I said, "Wait a
Uh huh.
minute, I might have something to offer,
There you
and I
go.
could
Yeah.
probably make some money doing this."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I tried to join a couple of bands, but they wouldn't let me in.
Mm.
So,
They're lost. They're lost.
so what I did, Carlos, what I learned how to do is put the music that I had been improvising
Hmm. Hmm.
onto a cassette
Mm.
and pipe it through a PA system. So I
Mm.
started playing to tracks in public
Nice.
in the 80s, dude.
Wow. Right,
In
with
the
a cassette player, the
80s.
mic out, right, the ear out. Oh man, dude,
So I
that
want to
reminds me of my first home studio that I created a home studio with a boombox. I had a boombox, a little Casio, and the wiring, and I knew how to wire things so that I could record on a cassette. And then, then I
know.
bought the four
Yeah.
track,
So I
the
was one of
Tascam four
so
track.
I think I was one of the first musicians in the Central Florida
Uh
area
huh. Uh huh.
to play with tracks. I used to play at all the hotels, you know,
Nice.
and I had my set list down and everything, and I would just play the Jamie Abersol backing
Right.
tracks,
Nice.
right? And I was gigging in the early '80s playing to
That
backing
works.
tracks.
That works. Man, I know because we're gonna speak about that. Because yeah, you just described to me like a lot of the works that you have done, and I used to see you. I
Yeah,
used to see the flyers
yeah,
throughout Orlando that you were playing here and there and there. Mention you also play with a trumpet player. Let's give
yeah.
him a shout out.
Cameron Brown.
Cameron Brown, yes, yeah, we watching you, brother. Yeah, Cameron Brown, and I seen that team. We got a trumpet and the sax.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Wow, man. I
We've
mean,
been doing we've been doing it. We've been doing Cameron and I have been playing together uh, since 2004.
Wow. Okay.
That
Wow.
same platform, you know.
The same
I
with the setup, the PA, the setup, backing track, and then you got to the point where you were able to record your own tracks.
Yes, I got to the
Did you? And you
point.
use that as your backing track there.
Yeah, yeah, because you came over one time and I had you lay down some congas
That's
for me.
right. For congas, yeah, that's
But I
right.
started creating my own tracks.
Right.
You know, uh,
Great.
uh, I used to get pissed off because some guys used to call me the karaoke sax player. But look how many people are using
People
tracks
make
now.
money. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I just watched a YouTube about. I'm all this time. I'm thinking all them R&B songs and licks. You know what I'm saying? Are musicians, man. This is one guy on the computer with Logic and moving this bar around to make this chord progressions, and then he's saying
Yeah.
this is a typical RB progression. Then he's got the bass. I mean, he was arranging, and I'm like, look at this. It's no longer a musician actually playing. It's just one guy sitting behind on a computer putting these dots together. I call them
Correct.
bars, putting
Yeah.
these bars in tone. It does take a little, talent to do that sometimes because you still got to know a little bit of music theory.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
you
saying?
got to know how to
That'll be the
arrange.
smart thing to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be the smart thing to do because if you know the notes and the frequency of the tones, and you know that CA, certain chords and try, it can help. It can bring it into another level. But yeah, yeah, man. But to be, karaoke is a big thing now too. I played in clubs. I played in clubs, man. The karaoke, and I done, I sang karaoke, and I played in clubs, and they make money. They
Yeah.
make money doing that
Well,
karaoke stuff.
well, you,
So,
well, you, you know, Carlos, you've been in the Central Florida area a long time. I guarantee you, you can't count on one hand how many musicians or groups that were playing back then
the
are still
tracks.
playing now. That are still playing now.
Hmm. Yeah,
I've been continually working.
doing your thing. Yeah.
Even before
Right.
I
Right.
came out with my CDs, I was continually working. Cause see,
Yeah.
that's what you have to do. You have to be able to reinvent yourself based
Hmm.
on the time period that you're in and what's happening.
True, true. That's a good advice, good lesson. And that's for all the musicians out there. People aspiring to be a musician now. Like it's like Tony just said. It's just find your niche,
Yes.
find your niche, and explore that. Because music, I tell everybody, it's not a big thing. People they try to like overemphasize emphasize what music. To me, music is the word muse, which also you got like amusement park. Or when
Yeah.
you amuse me with something, it's pleasurable. And as
Yeah.
long as you able to create that mood with people
Yeah.
and excite that pleasure, you're making music. You
Well,
know what I'm
see,
saying? You're making music.
based on all my influences, me and my dad had a talk one time, and I said, Dad,
Mm.
I'm hearing all these saxophone players. I
Nice.
says, I don't sound like them. He
I was
says,
gonna ask you that.
he says you don't want to sound like them. He says you have to find your own
Your
voice
own voice.
because
Exactly.
there's a saxophone player that used to play with Herbie Hancock
Hmm.
on the Headhunters
Mm.
series. His name is
Ooh.
Benny Maupin,
Okay.
and Benny Maupin said only a few years ago. He says I can tell what school a saxophone player went to based on how he
How he
plays.
sounds. Yeah, how he plays.
Berkeley,
Agree.
Juilliard. He says, I can
Yeah.
tell. He says they're all clones. When me and you were growing up, if we heard David Sanborn play, we knew it was David Sanborn.
With David Sanborn playing. Exactly. Exactly.
If Michael
Exactly.
Brecker was playing, we knew that was Michael Brecker.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But see, now you can hear a jazz piece come out. You don't even know who they are because they all sound the same now.
That's
So
true. That's true.
he says so the fact that you sound different than other sax players is a
Hmm.
good thing. It's not a bad
Right.
thing.
Right. 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 That's what it's all about. It's finding your personality you know what I'm saying, or who you are, and then expressing, resonating that, through your instrument. And that's the key. That is the key. So I was gonna ask you, so um so you've seen the different approaches that sax players have, and you say, yeah, this is the way you approach it. Is there any specific approach that you have when you
Yes.
play the sax? Like some sax will be like notes. They want to riff up the scales, and they got all the Duranian scales and Macedonian scales. But do you have a specific, you know what I'm saying?
My my specific thing is tone. Tone.
Nice. I love
Because
it.
my dad says if you want to see, if you want to be able to see what a person's soul is,
Hmm.
give them a ballad to either
Mm,
sing or to play. Now all this you can't tell their tone, but
yeah,
give them a sustaining note, and then you're
right.
like, oh,
The voice, you hear it in what kind of voice he has.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
man. That's
so
that's
so,
that's
so he
key.
said so he said, don't be so anxious to play 1,000 notes at one
Right.
time. He says because most of that stuff people aren't going to absorb,
Yeah.
but then
And
they
that'll come
got
eventually. I mean, yeah. That's practice and speed. Yeah. But the most important thing, like you said, is getting that tone. Because once you
tone.
got that, that opens the door to everything else.
See, all that stuff impresses other musicians,
Right.
but it doesn't impress the listening audience,
Which is the
which is not many of them are musicians. You know what
right,
I'm
right.
saying?
You want to be, yeah, right, right. Someone just by listening by your tone and your sax can make you made their whole day. You made
I've
them
had
feel better.
I've had
You know.
somebody say to me one time, I don't really like jazz, but once I heard you,
Mhm.
I like what you're doing.
Exactly.
And there's a saxophone player named Walter Beasley. He used to teach at in Boston at
Hmm.
that school, music
Berkeley,
school.
Berkeley,
Yeah, Berkeley. And he
Berkeley.
says a lot of musicians today are playing too many unnecessary notes.
Mm. True, true.
Too many
I spoke,
unnecessary
yeah,
notes.
yeah. I spoke on a podcast, a prior podcast about space,
Yes.
and I was talking to Dev, another sax player,
Yeah, Devin
and
Bell. Yeah.
the space is so important. Musicians have to realize that the rest is a note. You say you got quarter rest, you got a 16 rest. Those are actually note. If you know how to manipulate and use that space within music, man, it
Well, well,
just
my,
creates
well,
that
well, my,
ambience. That's ambience.
yeah. Well, Miles Davis said, "What you don't play is just as important as what you do play."
Oh yeah, Miles Davis is famous for that quote. Yeah, oh yeah.
So,
But
so,
that's great.
so, so a lot of musicians, when you hear them, it's like they're in a hurry. I remember one time Miles Davis told a bass player that was auditioning to play with him. He says, "Dude, don't try to play everything you know in one song. Save some of that for the other songs."
It's like that for conga players. It's like that for for any musician, really. Yeah. That's some good advice, man. I mean, I can hear that you're very schooled. You know what I'm saying? And man, kudos to your pops, man. That old man
Oh yeah, he
really
really
had that
taught me.
gift. He got that insight. A mentor. It was, and at the
Yeah,
same time was mentoring you
yeah.
and giving you what
See,
you needed for further.
he was never able to do what I'm doing
Right.
because he had kids and he had to get a job that would support the whole family.
Right.
But he actually lived through me
Yes, I was
because of
about to
what
say
I was
that.
doing.
Exactly. And I'm sure that must have made his world like, yo, I mean, I wasn't able to do these things for my son. And hey, listen to that.
He said,
He know that he's in there. Yeah.
"Yeah,
Yeah. That's
because
important.
I said, do you feel bad sometimes that you're not doing what I'm doing?" He says, "Every time you play a note, I play a note."
Smart man. Wisdom.
Because
Wisdom. Like, come on, man.
he says, because I
He
gave
really
you
knew how
those,
to. That
he was my
that's
biggest
the
supporter.
yeah, that created that catapult that creativity in you. You know what I'm saying? To
Well,
want to create creation.
I didn't have a lot of confidence because I wasn't a trained musician,
Right.
right? And he said, "Don't worry about that because the people that hear what you hear and like what you like will gravitate towards you." So if
Towards
you
it.
notice, most of the musicians I had in my band, they were a lot more trained than I was, but I was the band
Mm.
leader.
Right. Right.
I mean,
Right.
I had you, I had Dima Sanchez,
Yeah.
I had Hector.
Hector bass. Woof. Bob, we're gonna speak about that band because I
Oh,
got the backstage stories. So what was the first? So you formed. When was the first time you formed your band? Because
well,
I understand Groove Factor, right? Was that the
well,
first band?
no, I
Oh,
joined
okay.
the band. I joined the band. I was listed looking for a sax player, and
Okay.
I was with them long enough to understand the dynamics between each instrument, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once I learned all of that, I says, okay, I'm going to go play what's in here.
Mm-hmm.
They were paying me to play what they wanted to play. I says, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
put my own group together. So
Mm-hmm.
I would scan the horizon for musicians that I liked the way they played and I knew they could fit or help me to bring out what it is that I wanted to produce. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I found guys like you, Demas, different keyboard players,
Mm-hmm.
and all these guys understood what I was trying to convey. Because
Right. Okay.
how,
Yeah.
how many rehearsals did we have?
Not many, to be honest with you. We had a few rehearsals, good rehearsals, because our rehearsal was like a performance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And we all
exactly.
looked at each other like, "Yo, yes,"
So, 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 so as a band leader, I did not want to tell the other musicians how to play their instrument.
right,
They play their instrument better than I. All I would do was give them a road map.
right.
As long as we wind up at the same place, I didn't care
Right.
how you played your instrument.
That's right. I saw that. I saw that in your in the bands playing
And I
playing
and
with
I
you.
and I and I never tried to control. Oh, don't play that. Oh, I don't like the way. I would let you guys express yourself. And what else did I do? I gave everybody as many solos as they wanted.
That's right. We had our moments of fame on those stages. So Groove Factor was not the first band that you formed.
I've
There
actually
was,
had I've actually had four Groove Factor bands. After I left that band, where I kind of learned how to be a band leader,
a band
then
lead.
I
That's what
put
I was gonna ask you. You take us
yeah
there.
then I put together my first Groove Factor band. And reason
Okay.
why I call it Groove Factor
Right.
because every musician is a factor in the
Uh-huh.
groove that we laid down. That's why I always call it
Groove
the groove
Factor.
factor.
Okay. I'm feeling it. Okay.
Because
Yeah.
because when
Interesting.
because when you
I did
play
not know that.
yeah, because when you play percussion, I didn't want you to play like this guy or that guy. I wanted you to play like
Uh,
you play.
right. And the thing I loved about your compositions was
Yeah.
that it didn't involve a lot of heavy conga work or percussion. There was a lot of miscellaneous percussion
Yes.
that was tactfully placed
Yes.
when it needed to
Yes.
be placed. You know, even if it's a
Yes.
triangle, a symbol, the wood block, and that's what I was utilizing because I said, well, let me show my talent for miscellaneous percussion. You know what I'm saying? Go bell, and then if I need to get on the conga and the bongo, I'm there. You know what I'm
There you
saying?
go. There
But
you go.
yeah, yeah,
So
and that
it's all about freedom, and I noticed Miles Davis did the same thing. He
mhm,
allowed his musicians. He would come
mhm,
in there and he would say, "Okay, here's the music. Let's play. No
mhm,
rehearsals." the all blues. I mean, a lot of those guys look
Love it.
like what are we supposed to play? But what that turned out to be one of the major selling jazz albums right there of
Yes.
any
Some
album.
kind. Yeah. 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 Love it to this day. I play it to this day. To this
And a,
day, I
lot-
play
and
that
a lot of
one.
and a lot of
Love Supreme by
musicians
John Coltrane. That I'll play that all the time.
and a lot of them guys thought they were making a mistake, and Miles said, "No, I
There's
want
no
the
such
mistake."
thing. I want no such thing. I want that no such thing. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. That's very very interesting because I was doing a paper on jazz and
Mhm.
in that paper I started going back, in the libraries and going back into deep into, those interviews and those of those artists from back then, and the word jazz meant like, what's that, crap? What's that
Yeah,
jazz
yeah,
you playing?
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Or jazz is another name for cannabis. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because of
yeah.
course, when they used to get together, they smoke the
Smoke the
cannabis and
reefer,
they get
yeah.
all that. That was like the free form of them days. You know what I'm saying? The
Right,
30s and 40s.
exactly.
That was a free form thing. And so, jazz. So it's like some people can't understand it because, like you said, it has stuff in there that you would never, a school musician say, I would never do that. You know what I'm saying? In this
Well,
progression, I would never do that. But yet, here comes a musician who does it, and you think it's a mistake. It is a mistake, but it fits perfectly. It gives it
well,
a
see,
different ambience,
well, see, well,
a
see,
different
I,
feel.
well, see, I draw the same correlation between um, jazz and say classical music as I would to um, someone that bakes and a
Hmm.
chef.
Hmm.
A chef doesn't measure. He
Hmm.
knows what ingredients I got to
Right.
use, and he puts
True.
them together, and he knows how to make it taste the way he wants it to taste.
Yeah. Yeah.
A,
Yeah.
a baker can't do that. You got to have the right amount of flour, the
Mm.
right amount of yeast. If you screw it up, you're going to be eating a brick. Well, see,
Mm.
jazz is like that. Jazz, you can take all these different elements, and long as it sounds good and it feels good, and people relate to it, you
Mm.
play it. But you can't do that in classical music.
Mm.
Everybody has to stay in their lane.
Hmm. So let me ask you something.
Mhm.
Um, I think we already covered it. So you have fallback with the jazz that you're doing.
Yes.
Have you gotten a pushback because some says that's not jazz? Because I'm going to bring you to the next phase question, which is smooth jazz. Because I remember jazz got all categorized now. You got
Yes.
fusion jazz, this and that and that. Would you say your music was like more smooth jazz, or it was just jazz with a touch of smoothness in it? You know what I'm saying?
It was jazz. It had the elements of improvisation.
Hmm.
It had those tensions like jazz had in it, right?
Right, right.
Um, it had a lot of those weird chords,
Hmm.
but it was still palatable to people that
Right,
weren't well educated in jazz. See, a lot of
right.
the jazz they're doing now is basically R&B instrumental.
Mm,
A lot of the smooth jazz that I hear now, it's a lot of
right.
R&B
R&B.
instrumental.
So yeah. So it wasn't smooth jazz you was doing. You was doing, yeah, jazz, but it was like you said, palatable. It was like I said, jazz with a touch of smooth. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Smooth in it.
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
It,
Coolness.
yeah, it has to have a groove in it to
Hmm.
where and I don't mean this in a negative way, but your unsophisticated jazz listener can
Hmm.
digest it because
Okay,
back
I
in the
got
day when
you.
they did that avant-garde stuff, I mean people
They lost a lot of people. They
they
couldn't. They couldn't roll
they
with that.
like Eric Dolphy and those guys. People are like, what is that, man? It sounds like a lot of
Eh,
noise,
a
you
mess,
know?
a noise. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
now you can play that stuff if you don't want to eat. But
Yeah.
if you want to
I
eat,
Yeah, I seen a lot of bands in basements, man. Don't get no gig, but they were jamming like it was crazy. It was like in the basement you throwing trash, trash inside the basement, and that's what these guys were like, man. Even sleeping in the basement. Oh, I've
Well,
seen
I
that. I've seen that in New York. Yeah.
I went to um, a Chick Corea concert,
Mm-hmm.
and they had Dave Weckl on drums, and a
Mm-hmm.
couple of other guys I can't remember right off. They were so heavy, but the entire, I would say, 75% of the audience were musicians.
Yeah.
They
Chick
were
Corea.
they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
musicians. Your
Yeah.
average Joe is not going to be able to follow what
Right.
they're doing.
No, because Chick Corea was like the musician for musicians. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, musician for musicians. That they can appreciate that. You know, unless they start doing tricks. Visual tricks while they playing.
But
You
that,
know,
but see, that doesn't pay the bills. So,
no, no.
so what I had to do, like you said earlier, I had to find my niche. I
Yeah.
had to find my niche that satisfied your jazz lovers, your
Mm-hmm.
smooth jazz lovers, and your
Mm-hmm.
R&B lovers.
Aubrey. Yep.
So,
Yep.
so mine had a lot of mixture of that going on.
Right, right. After this broadcast, I'm gonna pull some stuff you got on YouTube, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna place it on my page, and I want everybody, first of all, let me put this down. Yeah, I gotta do shameful plug here. I gotta do this. So everybody, please, over here, subscribe and share to my YouTube, Ceelos Congas. That's number one. Also on my Facebook page, befriend it, like and share. Because like I said, I'm gonna put some of this music. I'm gonna put some of the music on that page until I'm able to, once I get my equipment on and I start, um, setting it all up, and I'm able to grab videos and actually place them on this broadcast. That's the next step. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And listen, I'm not over here with my hands out or anything, but there are people that sometimes like to donate or
yeah.
contribute. And so I'll put my cash app there just in case you want to do something. That's on you. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing pretty well. So, but there's people that like to give, you know what I'm saying? They see worth in what you're doing, and they like to contribute. So that's for that. But listen, let me do something here. So I want to put this first of all for those who's going to see this podcast. Here's a picture of us when we were playing the Groove Factor.
Yeah.
Check me out over there. And check Tony out. Nice. That was a nice band. I had Dima Sanchez all the way on the. You see him on the far left. If you're looking at the screen, the far left. And what's up with this picture here, man? Your guys getting down. This is a nice big stage, and your guys are getting down right there. That's Cameron
Yeah,
on trumpet, right?
yeah. There's a spot in Orlando called the Blue Bamboo, and they
Mm,
feature different jazz acts.
nice.
You know, and those are Johnny's congas right there. Johnny.
Johnny, yeah, but you can't see it, but yeah, that's nice. The blue
Yeah,
ones,
yeah.
LP, real nice, real nice.
So
So tell me,
what we were doing, we were trading back off. We took a song like "Coming Home, Baby." You
mm,
know what? And what I've been doing lately, I will take the jazz standards and
mm-hmm,
I would kind of like redress them so
nice.
that people, would
I was
be introduced to that older stuff.
I was gonna ask you that. So, is there a particular one? Is there a particular ritual that gets you ready? Like when you get in your creative mood, and there's
Yeah.
something that you gotta have always. Like you gotta have. Some people are like they gotta have the incense on. When I record some in some studios, I had to have candles. I had to have incense. I just had to get in the mood, and I just had to just
Nah.
let go. Being able to let go, so I could just do my thing. So, do you have any type of
Well, this is
things that you gotta have?
this is my thing. Okay, the fact that I'm not a trained musician,
Right.
right, and the fact that half the time I don't even know what I'm going to play. I
Mm,
know it's a gift that God has given me. So all
mm,
I have to do to retrieve it is go to that place
Go to that place, that higher frequency. Yeah.
where that gift is, and it's always available for me because God gave it to me. So I don't have to have all green M&Ms, certain incense playing,
Sure.
or lights or anything.
Right.
I tap into that source that I've been given most of my life, and I just
Right.
bring it up.
Okay. Okay. And yeah, yeah. I mean, that's definitely a that's the way it should be done because music, again, pleasure is something that we feel inside of us. It's a gift that we have.
But
I
see,
call it the gift of resonance.
but see,
Like I gave,
yeah,
yeah, I give the example of the birds in the morning. They
yes.
start chirping, resonating, and singing. They're making music. You know what I'm saying? The
But see,
frogs at night.
but see, I have to say, I have to admit, I've been very fortunate because I was an engineer at the Space Center on the Space Shuttle program.
Right.
So that means I could play how I want it, when I want
Mm.
it, or what I want it.
Very important. Very important.
Not many musicians have that
Can't do that.
luxury. They have to
True.
play what people want to hear. And to me, that's sad because they're not really connecting with their true self.
True self.
They're just
Man,
being
that's a great point. Yeah. Great point.
they're just being like a parrot. They're just
Yeah.
repeating or regurgitating something they've already had, but it's not really coming from them. And like I said, I've been very fortunate to be able to carve my own path to the point where financially that wasn't my reason for doing it.
That's very important. Very good point. Now, unfortunately, a lot of musicians don't, are not, don't have that, like you said, don't have that advantage. You know what I'm saying? There are some musicians that rely, like you said, they had to, it was their bread and butter, you know what I'm saying? So they had to get out there and play, and like you said, play what other people wanted, whatever. But there comes to a point that even if musicians that are like this, that are like you said, they know their true self and they're playing what their heart feel, are not musicians that get paid very well.
Yeah.
They're not. They don't get paid very well. I know that from
Because you know,
experience.
our buddy Hector, awesome bass player, he had to play with a country band.
Yeah.
I said, dude,
You
what are
know,
you doing? He says, dude, I
I'm
gotta eat.
I'm glad you mentioned that for everybody to know. That's Hector. What's his last name? Osuela.
Hasta Lazo.
Astalazo, man. Oh, let me tell you how awesome this bass player is. Now, we were in Groove Factor, and we played at the Lake Eola Amphitheater.
Amstel. Yeah, amphitheater. Right.
Right, the amphitheater, and we opened up for the Barcades. The Barcades was,
Yes.
was on the same bill, right? And Lenny Williams. I remember
And
having a
Lenny,
conversation.
yeah,
I
Lenny
remember having a
Williams.
conversation with Lenny Williams. He was telling us about the $54,000 check he received from Kanye West twice for sampling him. That was a great story.
Right.
I told
Right.
to the day, I'm like, boy,
Right.
So while we were playing our set,
Yeah.
them guys from Barcade. Now, Barcade is a R&B band. They
Yeah.
was the band that originally backed up at one time was James Brown's band,
Yeah.
and then when they left James Brown, they became the Barcades. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So I remember a lot of these cats coming from backstage
Yeah.
wanting to know who's playing the bass, who's playing that big man, and they were just like, "Did you see? Did you hear what this guy's doing?" Because it's like the music, like you said, was like formatted, and
Yeah.
it had that touch of smoothness in there, but the level that the bass was putting in there. T Fox on that guitar. I
Yeah.
forgot that brother on the
Mike,
keys was just throwing. Huh?
Michael Roney, Mike Roney
Michael
on what was that? Fender Rhodes.
Fender Rose.
Fender
You know what?
Rhodes.
I'm gonna play that video on the end of this podcast because man, I'm gonna play that video. Very nice tune, and you can see it. We're heading towards a direction. I laid back. I was just playing I think the tambourine and the triangle, and just doing some smooth stuff. And I was like, "Yo, this is the space, and you just gotta let this flow." Because these guys were doing such a tremendous job. I mean, I'm telling you, that band Barcade, they were like, they wanted to know, yo, where
Like,
you
who are
guys
you
from?
guys? Yeah.
Who are these guys playing? Something like that. You know what I'm saying? That you like. Wait a minute, it's jazz. It's like a smooth, but it's more than smooth. It's got a little funkiness in there. You
But
know what I'm saying?
so funny. We were playing a song by an artist named Kim.
Ah,
We were
nice,
playing, and what was it? 6 months later, we opened for Kim at the House of Blues.
nice. See, I wasn't there, but
No,
nice,
yeah. I
great.
think you were with Rico Monaco at the
Probably
time.
I was traveling. Yeah, yeah. I was on and off of Rico, traveling a lot too. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man, that was a great. I really enjoy that band, man. That band was a the cats on there
And
was
you
like
and you and you would do this thing that I liked. You would do this. What is that you do? It was like. Then
the
you go.
rose that the rose that,
Yeah.
then do and then I go
Oh.
do. Those are tricks. That's when you deal with sound, because a conga people think it's all rhythmic enough, but there's also tones in there, and you could
Dude,
do. I would use that
I would get goosebumps every
ambience.
time you did that.
Ambience. Yeah, man. I mean, I love the way you used to direct the band, and I love
Yeah.
that smoothness we had. It was just like, yeah, man,
And
we're
then
gonna
and then, and then, and then
listen,
what?
girl, we're gonna sit you
Yeah.
down, crack the wine open, sit you down, baby. And I'm gonna give you a
But you know
massage.
what? But you
I'll
but,
give you
but,
a massage.
but you know what? This moniker has always followed me, and the moniker is, man, you guys sound so smooth. So
Hmm.
so you know what? I said, okay, that's gonna be me. I'm not gonna be the saxophone player doing the moonwalk, doing backflips, jumping
Hmm.
off top speakers. I'm gonna stay in my lane and do what I do. I play smooth,
Hmm.
romantic, uh, sensuous music, and I'm not ashamed of it.
Let me ask you a question about instrumentation, because the first time that I actually saw that EV, what it looks like
Yeah,
a
electronic wind instrument. Yes,
right, was with Greg Little, trumpet player
yes,
Greg Little, and he
yeah.
used to play that, and I was like, wow, man, technology. But when you started playing, I was like, wow. I mean, the amount of, like I said, ambience and tone, and it
Yeah,
was like, man, we even took it futuristic if you wanted
that's
to,
right.
Oh man, that was great.
Yeah,
Great, great.
that's
How did that incorporate into your music? I mean, was that something that you just started? Did you see it in
well,
the magazine, or you heard it? I mean, how did it come
well,
about?
the first person I saw play one,
Hmm.
I forget his name, but I says I got to get that. Do you know I bought that thing over 20 years ago, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I was one of the first around to play that
Play that.
EWI. Greg
Yeah.
Little played one that had a little thing on it.
That had a little thing. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
But mine, I was able to play a hundred
Mm.
different voices, from bells to
Wow.
drums to organ to tuba to even
Ah,
bass. Like
I gotta
like
get one of those, man.
like 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 my first CD, I didn't have a bass player, so I played bass with my Iwi,
What, man? What?
upright bass. A song
On the
called "A Quiet."
recording? Holy what?
On
That
quiet on my first CD, "A Quiet Time," I'm playing an
let's
upright
put that
bass
on the
with
quiet
the
time. That's
Iwi.
this one
A
here.
quiet.
Right there.
That's the other one. That's the
No,
white
that's a
album.
matter of fact. That's the way to not that one. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah,
That's this one here.
that one. Yeah,
Yeah, a quiet time. Are these
yeah,
available still online? I mean,
yes,
can you get these?
yes,
Where
yeah.
where can you get them?
They're on CDBaby.com.
CD
They're
Baby.
they're on iTunes.
Let me
They're
put that
on
here a minute.
CD
Let's see.
Baby, iTunes.
I'm sorry. I'm putting this thing up in here. CD Baby, and you said iTunes.
iTunes.
and you can get both of these. I'm gonna put the other one up right now.
Yes. Amazon,
Um,
Amazon Music. I'm on all the formats.
so
I'm
all the
on all the
major
music.
formats.
Yeah.
Tune.
iHeartRadio.
Wow. Yeah.
Let me
All major.
can I tell you something really funny about this album right here?
Uh-huh. I wait a minute. I
I
do all major formats,
music formats. Yeah.
music formats. Let me just do this real quickly. Format and yeah, hold on to your thought 1 minute. I want to hear every bit of it. Format. So I got CD Baby, iTunes, all major music format. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I put that down here in the chat.
Yeah.
Here. I put that there. And let me put that there. And where did it go? Okay. Where did it go? You gotta excuse me here. Comment. Here it goes. Here you go. There you go. CD Baby,
There you
iTunes,
go.
all major music format. Let's get rid of it. So this is the quiet time, and then this is the other one.
Yeah.
The
A
matter
matter
of fact.
matter of fact. Yeah.
That came late. That came after quiet
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful.
And since
Okay, so
and,
tell
and
us. Mhm,
and since I don't have major distribution, that means
mhm,
my music has a longer shelf life because
mm.
people are still discovering my music. Matter of
Discovery,
fact,
right?
I've sold over 40,000 units.
Wow, that's pretty
Uh,
good for just
uh,
some, independent
yeah,
artist.
but
No
everything,
distribution.
but everything is download now. But that first album, A Quiet Time, I
Hmm.
played on Carnival Cruises one time,
Hmm.
and we went down to the Bahamas. So
Mm, nice.
you know how you go to the straw market.
Hmm.
I'm walking through there, and I see this guy selling CDs. I see my CD there.
Nice.
So I walk up to the guy and says, "Who is this guy?" He says, "Oh yeah, that's Tony Wynn. He's a great American sax player." I said, "Is he any good?" He says, "Oh yeah, he's really good. I've sold a lot of his stuff down there." I said, "Okay, thank
Wow,
you."
man. You said if only you could have got that on video, that would have been your plug, man, your your advertisement plug right there.
What a shock, man! It was a shock. I'm like,
Wow.
"Hey, that's my CD."
Wow. That's great. That's great. That's great. That's what it is when you build music, and productions, and you do your own productions,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
your own engineering. So, that's great when you're able to do that, put in the CD and you see it, your works out there. And, like you said, you know what I'm saying? Here you are traveling somewhere, you see it, you're like, what? Wait a minute.
But you know,
That's
it
interesting.
was out of necessity that I had to come up with a way to do my own
Hmm.
recordings and put
Hmm.
out my own music because studios were really expensive at the time. I think almost $100 an hour, something like that back
Mm.
then, and that was a
Well,
lot of
yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So I says I got to cut costs. So I
Hmm.
went online and learned how to do my own production. I bought a recording system by
Hmm.
a Roland, a digital recording, and I did my own stuff because I had you come over and just lay
Hmm.
down a conga track.
Yeah, I remember that. We did it in your home. Yep.
So
Yep. That's great.
so I saved a lot of money. Only money I had to spend was getting them pressed. Through a company called Disc Maker.
Disc
Disc
maker. Yeah.
Maker did
Very
all
good company.
yeah
Yeah.
did all my
Very good
stuff,
company.
but I haven't ordered any hard stock because it's hard to move CDs now. Everything is
Yeah.
YouTube, Bluetooth.
Well,
So
streaming.
yeah.
Yeah.
So all my stuff now is bought electronic digitally.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Of which
Yeah.
I'm still getting paid.
Yeah. And you're still getting paid from it.
From 2000, first one came out in 2007, and I think the other one
Nice.
came out in 2008. And I'm
Nice.
still receiving. So I'll look at,
Residuals.
yeah, I'll see 99 cents, because now people don't buy the whole CD. They'll buy
Mm.
maybe one or two songs.
The single. So this is online. You're talking about an online store.
Yeah, yeah, online
It's all
store.
online. Yeah. Nice. Nice. I'm just trying to see if I'm trying to reach the here it is. I don't know, for some reason my computer is freezing over here. I don't know why. I got the Ethernet. I just don't know. I don't know. Something's going on there. But anyway, we'll keep going forward.
Yeah.
So, excuse me one second. Okay. So, Groove Factor.
Yes.
Are you presently doing any? Well, because the COVID-19, you really can't really do anything like that.
Yeah.
But are
Yeah.
you still gigging at this time, even with the
Oh,
COVID-19? Have you been?
oh yeah. Well, I put together another Groove Factor, which is my fourth,
Okay.
and we were starting to do venues. I basically put them together to do like jazz festivals and stuff like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
really had to do a couple of personnel changes till I got what I wanted, somebody that really wanted to do the music. And we performed for almost like maybe a year. And then COVID hit and it shut everything down. But I have always been doing my duet, which is me and a trumpet player.
I'm listening. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Someone's
yeah.
talking to me.
Me and a trumpet player. And that's been my bread and butter. So
Okay.
I've only been using the band like maybe once or twice a month.
Okay. And then now with this whole pandemic thing, I mean, you know, like I tell everybody, I was starting to work with a performing arts venue here, and I wanted to bring
Yeah,
artists over, but now, everything has been put on hold. I'm hoping we
yeah,
get over this. You know what I'm saying? Get back into. Yeah. Do you enjoy do you enjoy being in the studio more than you do enjoy performing, or
yeah.
you enjoy performing more than the studio? Performing more
I,
than studio.
I like performing out live because you get that instant gratification.
Yeah.
You don't
You're a
get that
performer by
because
heart.
yeah, because I tell people your response actually dictates in a way what
Yeah.
I come up with sometimes.
What you're
Because
doing.
I'll
Yeah.
come up with some lines that
Mm-hmm.
aren't even in the piece, which fit. But
Mm-hmm.
just because I got a reaction for the audience, so the audience actually is responsible for some of the creative ideas you come up with within a particular piece.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So but studio, that's kind of boring, but when you get out and you play in front of people, that's where the true
Right.
gift takes
Well,
place.
have you ever considered I mean, I know it's a little expensive, but I'm sure now with the technology now, it could be done. And recording your live performance and putting that out, you know what I'm saying?
That's too much of a headache right now.
That's it. No, I'm just saying because
I think I,
I
I,
mean
think-
I
I,
enjoy both.
I
I'm just
think I've
getting more
gotten
and more
lazy.
involved in studio work now, but
I
but
think
yeah.
I've gotten lazy, cause I say, man, I've been doing this, and I'm telling my age, but I've been doing this since the early '80s. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been constantly working since the
Mhm.
'80s, and I've rarely been without a gig because, like I said, I created these two formats: the Groove Factor and then the
Uh-huh.
duet with tracks. So
Right.
we're always constantly working. And then
Nice.
me and my trumpet player, we hire out to wedding bands that need a horn section.
Hmm.
We're doing
Nice.
stuff like Earth, Wind, and Fire and stuff like that. So we're actually playing every weekend. We've actually been booked all the way till April, and I don't go past, a certain
Wow.
amount of months
You mean
since
now?
since last year.
Now you still booked to wow, man. That's great. That's great. You see, wow, that's great. That's great.
A duet doesn't have a big footprint. You
Right,
know what I'm
right.
saying? So we can fit into small places in a
Small churches,
corner,
yeah, yeah,
away
yeah.
from everybody.
True.
We do that. So we keep that going, and
And a lot of yeah, a lot of establishment wants that environment music. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
great. It's music. It's has its purpose. It's doing what it has to do.
And see, our tracks are so good that a lot of people think It's a CD that's being played until they say,
Okay.
wait a minute, there's actually guys actually playing. But see, there's an art to playing to tracks where you
Yeah.
fit inside the music instead of on top of the music. But I've been
Hmm.
playing tracks for so long, I know how to EQ everything
You mean
that
like a
puts us,
sequencer? Yeah.
yes, that
Yeah.
puts us
Yeah. I know.
in the music.
For people to know, I mean that is part of musicianship too. Because I remember playing with my friend Howie Daru from the Backstreet Boys. We went out
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Argentina, so I remember playing with him and some of the Backstreet Boys, and we started playing some of the song. And the drummer had a sequencer because some of the parts,
yeah,
keyboard parts and certain parts were already sequenced. So we,
right,
as musicians, with a
yeah,
monitor ear, we had to play while we're playing live, but there's still a sequence there. You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yeah.
So it's all happening at the same time, and
And then
they do that all the time in music now.
and
I
then they
mean,
have
and I can say you was
that
probably doing it way back, but they're doing it now.
and then they have that click track. They have
That
that
click,
click
yeah,
track, the drummer, so he can stay on time and stuff like
yeah.
that. But yeah, it's changed a lot, man, since we got into the business.
Do you feel that the music is heading in a good direction? I mean, do you feel that is heading in a good direction?
Right now, I think we're circling the wagons right now. I think we're just doing this until something breaks, and then we
Mhm.
can go. But right now, everything's in kind of limbo. People are trying to find creative ways to
But tell me
still
about you.
revenue,
Uh,
huh?
what you in this present time? Are there music that you listen to that you kind of like sit down and say, "I'm gonna play"? Is it apart from jazz? Is there other genre? The things that you listen to in general?
You might laugh, but I don't listen to a lot of music.
Well,
I
I know
don't.
musicians like that. I know
You know
musicians
why?
like
Because there's always freaking music in my head.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I heard
I've been.
Herbie.
I go through my phases too. When I got a lot of music in my head, sometimes I can't even sleep. But
Because
I got
I
that, and I got my
heard.
recorder, and I'm recording my
Yeah.
vocal parts.
Because I
Yeah,
heard Herbie Hancock say one time he doesn't listen to music
yeah.
when he goes out and does concert. He said because the music will get in his head
You get
and
in his
it'll
head.
influence what he's playing.
Because you
So
are the music. You are the music. You're the inner music, and you want that to come out.
now
Yeah.
what I will do is I'll go on YouTube and I'll listen to some of my favorite jazz groups and stuff. Chris Potter, sax player, stuff like
Yeah.
that. As far as around the house, actually listening to, nah, I
You know
don't.
what I've been watching lately and hearing is the tiny desk, and I
Yeah,
put it on my page, Global Fest, because
yeah,
it features these bands from all over the world, and
yeah,
these are musicians, like you said, are not commercially known musicians, but are musicians that are in their city, in their country,
yes,
and they man, beautiful music. I just recently there was one called Me You Crusaders. Those are Japanese. They
yeah.
were using Latin rhythm with an old Japanese vocalization, and wow,
Right.
good music. So I mean, but yeah, yeah, I do agree that yes, you have to put a limit, boundaries to the music you listen to, because like you said, it can enter your head, and it's okay to mimic. Not to mimic, but it's okay to get ideas from other things, but to really be creative and to really stick to who you are, yeah, the less music you listen to, the you better off,
Well,
because you have to tap into
what,
music in here.
what do you know? You know who I have a lot of admiration for?
Cool.
People that listen to all types of music.
I'm like that.
I can't do that.
I can listen to all types of music
I I
now. Now,
now.
because you see, in college, like for instance, in NYU, we had a what they call a music appreciation class, where a
Yeah,
professor comes in and bring an album. First, we went from the classical era, and then he would give us the story, the back line, the story for the Surprise Symphony, or Mozart, this and that, and we would listen to it. And then he said, and he always wanted to hear our intake on that. And then we had to bring our own music and project. And I brought in the first record I ever recorded was a hip hop record, Funky Folk Plus for More. I brought that into the classroom. And was in 1981, but I recorded in 79. But yeah, that music appreciation. So later on in years, I've learned to do that. You know what I'm saying? To appreciate music, you know, and just for the artistry, man. There's so many
Well, let me ask
music.
you
They don't have to
something.
be all. Yeah.
Let me ask you something. Do you
Mhm.
believe that music has a spirit? Do you
You
believe
froze.
that
Hello. You
oh,
froze on me. Why you freeze?
okay. Do you
Let
believe
me see
that
something.
music, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
You see me?
Yeah, I see you.
Wait a minute. Oh wait, I lost you. Oh.
Love Soul Child.
Yeah. You see
Yeah.
there now? Oh
Yeah,
man,
I'm
I
here.
lost it because I don't know what the hell happened here. But yeah, you was at yeah.
Well,
Did
my
you was
question
at
for you, my
uh
question for you is, do you believe that music has a spirit?
of course. Of course. Of
Okay.
course.
Now, being
I
that
mean, but let's get something straight.
yeah.
We have to define spirit now. I mean, you're getting into knowing a whole different vein right now, especially in the work.
Okay, okay. For example, the music I play
Uh-huh.
is the result of my spirit.
Yes. Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
So it comes from a place that
Hmm.
is identified by my relationship with God. Right.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
So
yeah,
that
yes, yes.
so
Put
that
it in that format. Yeah, yes.
yeah. So that's why I'm very careful of what music I listen to because I don't know the source of the spirit of that music.
Doing that. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, you now? Okay.
Yeah, there,
You
there you
back?
go.
You
Yeah,
froze on me.
yeah. Are you there? You're all pixelated.
Man. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what's going on with the Wi-Fi. Mine went off too. It never does that. I don't know. But
It's
we
that.
were getting to something very, very deep. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And yes, it is your relationship with God. No
And
doubt about that. You know, but the way I see it, not the way that I see it, but the way that I'm beginning to look at it, for instance, like spirit is character and personality.
right.
Everything that has a spirit in it has a character and personality in it. And also when I look at God, I look at the highest frequency that I can resonate at. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because it's reaching for the unreachable. That's God. You know what I'm saying?
And
Or that
and
you
and,
know what I'm saying? That's
and,
that frequency.
and that's why you got to be careful
Mm-hmm.
what spirits of
That's
music that
definitely.
you entertain.
Yes, yes, yes. There's a big study happening right now how music affects your spirit. You know what I'm saying? Your character, it shifts your character and personality. We see that all the
That,
time with certain music.
that,
Like,
that's why I don't listen to
yeah,
everything.
yeah. Me, you said I'm more like I've learned to be tolerant for differences
Yes,
because I think
tolerant.
that's a moral and ethic practice, and I think that that's at the core of being a high resonating human being is that you have to be tolerant for people's differences. In other words,
Yeah.
instead of looking at things critical, I look at things as paradoxical. You
Well, see,
know,
I well
hey,
see, well see, I look at it like you're in a restaurant. This guy right next to you is eating a roasted goat head, right?
mm, mm.
I accept that, and I'm okay with that, but I'm not gonna eat it.
Okay,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
All right. It's
So
what
that's
you
what,
can tolerate. All right. It's like
yeah,
what you can tolerate. You know what I'm saying? If you cannot tolerate it, then you got you that's the limit. Then you don't have to. You don't
That's
have to.
why. That's why I say I have admiration for people that can listen to anything, because I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah.
My
You,
spirit doesn't allow me to listen to just
so let me
anything.
ask you a question then. Will
Okay.
you ever will you ever listen to like drill music? You know what New York drill music is?
Yes. Yeah.
Would you ever listen to that? Do you get it? Do you understand what's being done there?
It's way. It's
Taking
way.
away right, taking away all the gun and all the talking about pulling up on somebody. Take that away. But the concept of that, do you understand?
Okay. Okay. I like hip hop. For
Hmm.
example, I love Tupac's music and his beats, but you got to be careful of the delivery system that brings that message. So
Exactly.
here's the thing: when I play, people always say your music makes me feel good.
That's
It
good.
puts me
And good is
see,
God with an extra good is God without an O.
and that's
Like I
and
said.
that's why that's why I call the stage that I am in now. That's why I call
Mhm.
it jazz therapy, cause
Nice.
it's
We're gonna
cause
talk.
it's
Let's talk about that.
yeah
We're creating a content right now called Jazz Therapy.
yeah.
I'm going to tune in a little bit on that. I want to see where you're coming from. Now, where can we find that Jazz Therapy? Because you said you did
Uh,
few videos of that.
I have some on Facebook. I also have some on Instagram.
Okay.
So
And
I go ahead.
no, I was going to ask you. So the concept behind it is create your therapy. Your it's psychological. You're
This
entering the
woman,
mind.
this this woman, this friend of mine says, "When are you playing again? I need some jazz therapy."
Ah, right. Because people hear that connection that you have with the Most
So
High, with that
so
Most
when
High
we're
frequency.
so when we're playing, the
Mhm.
audience is like this.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but you got to realize the music is honest, the
Right.
music is sincere, and it comes from a spiritual place, right,
Hmm.
where I'm connected spiritually with God, so I know what's coming out is pure, right?
Right.
See, music is nothing but a vehicle for
Hmm.
people's ideas. You got to
Hmm.
be careful what those ideas are.
Exactly what you
Even,
entertain.
even if it's instrumental, because remember the heavy
The
metal and the
tones.
head banging music and stuff like
Oh, the
that.
certain tones. Certain tones. I teach
Certain
that now
tones.
about how certain tones create certain environment, certain scenario, not scenario, certain vibes in your spirit. Certain tones can do that. You
And
know what I'm
guess
saying?
and guess who has tapped into that? The military has tapped into that
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
they can use sound as a weapon.
Yes, yes, yeah. So you knowing all this
Yes.
in your music, so this
Yeah.
is what you're applying in your music. That you're
Yes.
you're giving, you know what I'm saying? You're like the the pill that's covered in like, listen, I see this or the engine, I see something here is not right. Let me give it a pill to see what happens.
And
Let me give it some good
and
health. Good health, good health.
and you know what sounds project and deliver that? Your whole tones. Not any
Mm,
of this
no,
but
no,
your
no. Yeah, your
whole
full
whole
whole, the full tones. Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
tones do that. That's
Right.
why people they describe what I do as smooth. The
Right.
sound is
So
smooth.
right. So does this reflect your upbringing and the way you live your life? I
Yes.
mean, the way you
Yes.
live your life, if it's the music is reflecting that, right? Because you're like, oh, so you're like, well, wait a minute. I'm at a place right now that I'm in contact. I'm learning. I'm knowing about my divinity and the divinity in God. This high frequency.
Because you have
I'm.
because you see you have this lens, and if
Mm,
that lens is clean, then the
mm,
music that comes out of it is
mm,
a lot more received by those
mm,
people that are looking for that.
no.
that are in tune to that. So it
Yes.
doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter that I'm
It
not
works.
a, you know. So
That
it
works.
does. Yeah, yeah, and I've
That's a
learned
that's a
this. I've learned this over the years because if what I'm saying is not true, then
mhm.
why are babies so attracted to sounds and music?
My granddaughter, 8 months years old. If I put something on the TV, music, that girl is rocking. Well, she won't, but she has a gift too because she takes my sticks. 8 months year old, she grab my sticks and start banging. So she's gonna be a musician, definitely. I could see that in her. But yeah, babies always attracted to, when you teach a baby the alphabet, you sing it A B C D E F G, in the form of a song.
and
Because
and and and
music
and
teaches.
and, and no disrespect
Mm.
to the legends, but when they came, but where did bebop and all that stuff come from? It came from those guys. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah, yeah,
were,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but see, they understood it, but people around didn't understand bebop. Where's this coming from?
But you
Well,
know
a lot
something,
of
yeah. I'm sorry to interject. You know what movie
oh,
really touched upon something was The Color Purple. Remember The
yes,
Color Purple, where the father was a pastor and he had his church and they bring in the church thing, and she was at a speakeasy in the backwoods, and then
just
how they
joy.
met. How she heard that. Oh, what
Yeah,
a beautiful scene, man. I was like, yo, look at that. And then when she kind of reached it, and so yeah, I mean,
music,
I get it.
mu- mu-
I
mu-
get it, brother.
music is powerful.
It is.
Music
It
is
is.
one of God's major gifts to man.
And we have to
Nature.
be careful how we use these tones, like you said. I mean, because even when you look at ancient time before war, what I'm saying, before they sent out the army, you hear the doo, the drum in European. In Africa, you heard the drumming, the djembe, or in certain indigenous group, the horn, doo. It's like, oh, they're coming. So yeah, the tonality, music
and
sets
and,
that
and,
whole.
because see, music shaped our whole American culture. Music
Mm.
shaped it, as
And
well as music shaped other cultures.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Music is definitely cultural. It's cultivating the nature of a people, how they resonate. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Yeah, very, very important. Let me ask you something about electronics. So do you use a lot of electronics in your music, right? Would you say that
Uh,
you use?
well, I use that electronic instrument sparingly, but
Mhm.
now I've gone back to the actual natural
Nice.
tone of my
Okay.
horns. I may use a little bit of delay, a little bit of reverb, just so the the tone will carry a little more
Right,
instead
right,
of
right.
just dropping dead. But I've and I use a wireless microphone, but I've reverted back to simple, clean space
Space,
and
simple instruments. What's your
honesty.
Do you have any preference, like alto, soprano sax, alto, tenor, or
All
baritone?
my
I mean, do you have any preference?
all my horns have their own distinct voice,
Okay.
and when I put on a song, my instruments tell me which voice should go
Mm.
with that piece.
Nice, nice.
So I have no favorite, you
Okay.
know.
Just
Uh,
for the moment, with the what creativity and what you're hearing at that moment. That's
right,
great. That's
right,
really
and
great. I really,
huh?
wow. I really learned a lot here, my man. You really.
Really?
I love conversing with you about this because it just
Yes.
puts us right on track as musicians and creators of this of tonality and frequencies and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So
I've always been a big fan of your playing. Always,
I appreciate
always.
that. I
I,
appreciate
I was
that.
always I was always disappointed when I couldn't get you, but
Oh,
it is what it
yeah, yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. But listen. Now with the technology now, and also I'm planning once the things open up again. I'm planning to make visits to Florida. You know what I'm saying? Make visits to
Yes,
different states.
yes,
So
yes.
definitely, man. You need me, I'll be there. Just let me know. I'll
All
be
right,
there.
man.
I'm more stable too financially, so I can also
Yes,
take care of stuff. Yeah, it's good for
yes,
musicians when you travel. Get your. I got the IHG,
yeah,
International
yeah,
Hotel Group, points,
yeah.
so I could get a free night here, free night there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So we have to come together and help each other out.
we do, we do.
Because now I'm teaching. I just took a course in blockchain technology, and so
Okay.
I'm teaching about I'm learning about smart contracts, and I'm
Yeah,
learning that it's about your worth is your
yes.
network.
Your
Your
network. All right.
network is your worth. How
Yes,
you network with further musicians, get together and building a structure, building something that streaming, and there is currency in that. There is there is what I call you can earn you can earn a
yeah,
living,
yes,
streaming
absolutely.
and getting together in content and always be involved. Now I'm more aware
Yes,
business. Do you find that so you handle a lot of the business aspect of your career
yes,
by
yeah,
yourself, right?
yeah. I do it myself. I used to have a manager, but once I learned how to do it myself, I just cut out the middleman.
Right, right.
I do
But
my,
that's what blockchain technology is.
yeah, I do my own contracts. I stay
Mm,
connected on YouTube, Instagram,
mm,
Facebook. So I have close to 5,000 friends, and then on
mm.
Instagram I got a lot of follow. So I'm always posting, And here's the key with a musician: always appear as though you're busy, even though you're not.
Okay, I'll try to digest that one a little bit.
But
Yeah,
of course, I haven't had to do that much, but
right.
I'm constantly putting out stuff. If I'm not, and I
Nice.
create my own posters, and I put them out to let people know where I'm playing, when I'm
Right.
playing.
I
Sometimes,
see that. Yeah.
and I have a lot of uh, videos that I created on YouTube.
Nice.
I'll post them from time to time.
Nice.
Even though I've done them years ago, I got a lot of, like I said, video. I created my own little
Mhm.
videos with
Right.
pictures and stuff. And so you got to keep yourself out there because BB King says you have to keep yourself out there because soon as you don't, people will forget about you.
True.
But you don't want to oversaturate yourself in the
Mm.
market because people are tired of looking at you. So you got to find that balance.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You got to find that balance.
Good
And
advice.
yeah, because I have a good. Walter Beasley, the professor at Berkeley, told me one
Mm.
time, don't do a lot of hanging out. He
Mm.
says, so I'm really not a type of person to hang out, but he says, don't frequent all these different places because people get too used to seeing you. Then when
Exactly.
they find out where you play, oh, I'll see him next week. Oh, I
Yeah.
saw him
Yeah.
at so and so. So you got
Yeah.
to create this mystique. So the only time people really see me is when
Mm.
I play.
Mm.
So I
And that's
don't.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you have to do. And being that I'm kind of a loner type of person, I'm a homebody.
I think musicians are like that.
I'm not in.
You know.
Not in the street. So only time I'm seen in public, I got my saxophone in my hand. And it's
Yeah.
really funny because somebody recognized me and says, "Hey, aren't you that sax player Tony Wynn?" And I thought I was all incognito. Like, yeah, man. But when I go out, I'm professional. I'm dressed
Mhm.
really nice, and
Right.
you have to project what you want the public to see.
To see. Yeah. I agree with
You
you.
know, you know
I
what
agree
I'm
with you.
saying?
Yes. Yes.
So that's
I agree
all
with
part of the business model.
you. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just digesting this all and taking it in and seeing it, and yeah,
You can
yeah.
see
I
it. You
mean,
can, you can see it.
and the musicians, yeah, they've done very well. It's one thing that comes with musicianship is that alone time. You know what I'm saying? With your instrument and you're playing and you're, what they call that, wood
Yeah,
shed, the wood
yeah,
shed.
we're sad.
We go
And
back
and
in
and
there.
and
I'm
and
gonna just stay home for a couple of weeks and just play
and, and,
sax.
and, and when you do a gig, you got to be professional because that's the only time that people really see you. And if your image is kind of shaky, then they're gonna form in their mind that's the kind of person he is.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of musicians, good, talented
Yeah,
artists, go down because of that.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? They kind of like took advantage of that. They were hanging out and people see them and shady business and whatever, and that they burnt themselves out in the city.
yeah. And
They
and and
burnt
and,
themselves
and, you,
out.
and you you can't be arrogant because I'm familiar with some musicians. They show up, they look at the audience like, you should be glad I'm here. No, I look at the
Nah,
audience, I'm grateful you're here. Because
right.
remember when you used to play with me, that I always walk around like I was the man. Hey, I'm this. A lot of people, matter of
Mhm.
fact, I would introduce everybody and forget to introduce
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, yep. And I loved it the way you walk, because you had a wireless. You
Yeah,
would walk from one side of the stage to the other stage, look at the
yeah,
people, engage them in it. And
yes,
then when the music come to a musician, come with me,
yeah.
I'm a percussion. You're like, yeah, go ahead, Carlo, and you pick up a percussion instrument yourself and start playing. I mean, the interaction is so important, man.
And see that,
So and
and see that's real stuff. And people can sense if you're being phony or if you're a real person. You know, you got to be a real person before you become a musician, or
that
people are going to respect or appreciate your music.
let me share something with you that happened, and I'm not gonna mention the piano player. It's a very famous piano player,
Uh huh.
very famous piano player. Goes back from
Yeah.
let's say from the 50s all the way up. Very groundbreaking
Yeah.
piano player. Played with the big guys, Tito Puente.
Right. Right.
He
Right.
was right. So
Yeah.
one I bought the shuttle train from 42nd Street that goes from the west side to the east side, the shuttle train.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
on that shuttle train, so I'm going to school because I live on
Right.
one side, NYU is on the other side, and I had to go somewhere
Right.
else. I got on this train and I saw this piano player sitting on the chair,
Uh huh.
and I went to him and I was like, "Aren't you so and so the piano player?" Oh my God, man! I was like, "Yo, why, man? Yo, I've looked at albums. I saw your
Yeah.
picture. I
Right.
heard your works." You know,
Right.
this man looked at me and says, "Get away from me! I don't want to be bothered. Get away from me! I don't want to be bothered." All right, and then put on a straight face, and then from then on, I said, "Ain't this?" I said, "I know I'm a musician. I know I never want to be like that. I know." Immediately, I said to myself, "That's not good."
Same
I don't
same
know what.
thing same thing happened to me in Buffalo. A
Mhm.
well-known saxophone player. I approached him because I was on the concert committee at Buffalo State, and we would
Mhm.
bring in Stanley Turrentine, all these really cool people. We brought in this one particular guy, and I'm not going to mention his name. And
Mhm.
I was just starting out at the time. So I went up and wanted to ask some questions. Well, what kind of mouthpiece do you use? Do you use metal? Do
Right,
you use plastic? And he looked at me like, dude, why are you talking to me?
right.
I was so crushed that from that point on, I stopped buying his music. I says, I'm probably putting your kids through school.
Look at that. Look at
And
that.
I,
Yeah.
and I said to myself, if I ever get to that stage where people approach me and want to talk to me,
Mhm.
I'm going to talk to them because I chose to do this. So I
Mhm.
got to take everything that comes with it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that really hurt me. So people said, "Oh, let's do this too." I don't play his music.
That's
Well, let's
it.
do
Yeah.
that too. I don't play. I lost respect in him because
Right.
of the same thing that you went through.
Right, right. Who wants to, that every time now when I hear and I see a video, I hear I want to hear an album, and I see this artist there. The first thing I'm gonna think in my mind is like, what an asshole.
So,
What a
somebody said he could have been having a bad day. Dude, when people pay big
I
money,
don't care.
you 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 can have a bad day. You better hide that. Dude, I smile at people I talk. There was a little kid came up to me one time when I was doing a gig. He says his mom was standing there. Is it okay if my son comes and says something to you? I says, yeah. Because he was afraid you probably won't talk to people. I said, come on, kid. He came, he talked to me, I gave him my CD. This guy, his name is Skylar Nolan. He is one of the baddest saxophone players coming out now. Skylar Nolan.
Wow.
He was a little chubby kid. Oh,
Right.
how you doing, Mr. Wynn? I play saxophone too. I'm like, that's great. I say, he want a CD of mine? Get a CD. And I say, practice your whole tones. That dude, he's a monster right now. And see, that's why you got to be careful when you talk to people because you may affect the rest of their life concerning you. You know?
Listen, hold on one second, Tony. Just give me a second. I'm gonna pause 1 second, okay?
Okay, okay. So Joe, love Joe.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Listen, I'm gonna have to
No
probably
problem.
end. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm gonna have to probably end this podcast. It's already 8:22. So,
no
where can we
problem.
find you? So we got Baby, CD Baby, iTunes, all major music
CD
formats to
baby.
find the project. So, and there's
Yes,
more projects
you.
coming in the future for you, right?
Yeah, all they gotta do is Google Tony Wynn, Wynn, and I should come up somewhere.
Okay, and that's
That's all
all
I gotta
major
do. To
platform,
find me.
YouTube, all major
Yeah,
platform and everything.
yeah, yeah. It was great. It was
Okay.
great talking to you, my
Great. This
friend.
is great, man. This is great. So there you have it. People. Um, there we go. So remember to like the video, share the video. That's the Cash App. If anybody wants to donate, whatever, you don't have to. But okay. So remember to like it, share it. This is my brother Tony Wynn, and we're gonna end it here, my folks. We're gonna end it here, and we're probably gonna have to do a part two because you got a lot of content, bro, and I want to definitely play your
Oh,
videos.
I
You know.
appreciate it. Okay, buddy.
All right, so let
All
me
right.
let me end
Take
this.
care.
I got
Be
a
safe.
family emergency. I got a family emergency, bro. Ain't that something?
Okay.
But anyway,
All right.
that's
All
life. Okay,
right. Bye
man.
bye.
Hey, I love you always, my brother. You take care of yourself.
Adios. All
Okay.
right. All right.
All right.
Love you
Peace.
too, man. All right. All right. Bye bye.
Bye. Well, there you go. That's a very another powerful interview, man. I mean, the spirituality and about musicianship. Awesome, awesome. You got to check out his music. And like he said, man, it's just if you want that relaxing and you want to connect with that higher self, man, definitely listen to Tony Wynn. I'm gonna play some on my Facebook page. I'm gonna play some of the videos on there. But anyway, I see y'all. I got a issue here I have to attend to. So I love you all. Dan Sihibui. Please take care of yourself.